Hello and welcome to the DSR Daily. I'm David Rothkopf. This is the last day of June, and it's Minna Stein's birthday, and I'm joined by Minna Stein. And for her birthday, she's gotten rid of Riley Fessler. He's off on vacation, so she gets to do all the heavy lifting here. Happy birthday, Minna!
My birthday gift this year was total domination of the DSR Daily.
Well, okay, I'm gone. Good luck. Good luck. I don't want to get in the
Watch
way of your
out.
I don't want to get in the way of your birthday wish. All right, let's. Well, what do you got for us?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signaled a shift in priorities by emphasizing the rescue of hostages over the defeat of Hamas, a notable change from his earlier stance of achieving, quote, total victory in Gaza. His remarks come amid mounting pressure from the U.S., including President Trump, to agree to a ceasefire deal in exchange for the release of hostages, and as Israel's military concludes operations in Iran and considers diplomatic options. Meanwhile, violence in Gaza continues, with over 56,000 Palestinians reportedly killed and humanitarian concerns intensifying amid ongoing Israeli strikes.
Yeah, although there was a Haaretz story, that's an Israeli newspaper, folks, suggesting that the total actually is 100,000 people killed. So, I think we have to keep that in mind there. Total victory in Gaza, of course, means something different to Bibi Netanyahu than it means to everybody else. The first sign of victory to him is that he gets to keep his job as prime minister. And the wheels of justice are beginning to turn a little bit again in Israel. And so his strategy of fighting wars and being on a wartime footing as a manner of legal defense may not work as well in the months ahead as it has the past few months. As far as this assertion that the Trump administration is putting pressure on Bibi, I'm sure they're asking. I'm sure they're using some kind of tough language. Are they threatening to stop providing aid to Bibi, military aid, the kind of things he needs for continuing his efforts in Gaza or to replenish arms after the war with Iran? No, I don't think so. So I don't think they're doing real pressure. I just think they want a deal. They want to tie a bow in it. They want to say Donald Trump's a peacemaker. They don't really want to move towards a two-state solution. They don't want to talk about how to rebuild Gaza. I think the next step for Trump and company in this is, okay, well, we said Iran is over, and okay, we said Gaza is over. Wait 6 months, and then Israel and Saudi can do a normalization deal, and we can say that the Abraham Accords, have earned Donald Trump a Nobel Prize. There were, of course, reports over the weekend from multiple sources that the U.S. raids did not do the damage that people said. The IAEA said it's going to take a few months for them to start up the program. There's a Washington Post story showing that the Iranians did not think the damage was what Trump said the damage was. So we're going to have to watch that very closely, completely interrelated to this other story. Trump wants to look like what he's doing is a success, even if it's not. And therein lies the rub.
Senator Rick Scott and several Republican allies introduced an amendment to President Trump's major legislative package that would cut Medicaid spending by $313 billion by limiting future Medicaid expansion under the Affordable Care Act.
$313 billion more than they were already cutting it, correct?
Correct, yes. So by an additional $313 billion.
Right.
The proposal would end enhanced federal funding for able-bodied, childless adults enrolling after 2031 while preserving it for current enrollees. Though GOP leaders expect most Republicans to back the amendment, its passage remains uncertain, and some sponsors are withholding commitment to the final bill to pressure colleagues for support.
Yeah, a couple of things on this. One, as far as these Medicaid cuts, they're draconian, they're horrible, they will cause tens of millions of people to suffer. Um, and they're among the reasons that this is one of the worst pieces of legislation that's ever been before the United States Congress. Worse for the American people, I mean. Uh, it's also going to be bad for the Republican Party, and I think that's why there is some internal tension here. Uh, Donald Trump doesn't care. He's not running for reelection. He may care a little bit about the 2026 elections because if the Democrats win the House or Democrats win the House and the Senate, they can make his life really miserable. But he's not running again in the long term. And so this is, Donald Trump doing what he does, which is betray the people close to him. Ask every one of his wives, ask every one of his business partners, and now ask the MAGA base. Once he didn't need them anymore, he'll screw them. And that's what Medicaid cuts will do. They will screw the MAGA base. That's what SNAP cuts will do. They will screw the MAGA base. That's what raising tariffs will do. They will screw the MAGA base. They will raise prices for Americans. They will slow the U.S. economy. He doesn't care anymore. He just wants to declare victory, monetize the presidency. There is something else, though, that's important to note here, particularly for people who want to underscore what's terrible in this bill. One of the sleaziest parts of it is that the cuts from Medicaid don't start until after the 2026 elections because they don't want people to feel the consequences of this bill until after the midterms. That's gross and disgusting, and that's like this other provision where things don't start for a few years. They know that a future Congress could undo that, which may provide some degree of hope for some Democrats and for people who are out there on it. But if it is undone, they will then portray it as Democrats spending wildly, as opposed to Democrats restoring to people what is due to them. It's gross, and it's not just a piece of legislation. Tens of millions of people are going to suffer as a result of the things that are in this bill. Minute.
Canada has withdrawn its planned digital services tax in an effort to restart stalled trade talks with the United States, which were halted after President Trump criticized the levy as unfair to American tech companies. The tax, which would have retroactively charged firms like Alphabet, Amazon, and Meta around $3 billion, was set to take effect this week. With negotiations now set to resume, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Trump aim to reach a new trade agreement by July 21st, focusing on strengthening economic and security ties.
Yeah, well, or repairing a damaged relationship. Certainly the tech firms could have afforded this. But it does show you what Trump's willing to go to bat for and who he's willing to go to bat for. And that's the billionaire tech bros that have funded his campaign, as opposed to, the MAGA base. See last story.
California Governor Gavin Newsome is suing Fox News for $787 million in defamation damages, accusing the network of deliberately editing a video to falsely portray him as lying about a phone call with President Donald Trump. The lawsuit argues Fox misled viewers by omitting key context, making it seem as though Newsome denied the call ever occurred, and calls for a retraction and on-air apology. Newsome frames the suit as part of a battle against right-wing misinformation, comparing the damages sought to Fox's previous Dominion voting system settlement.
Comparing it and using a number that evokes that number from the past. Look, I don't know if this will work, and I don't know what the grounds Newsome has are. It's obvious that Fox does this kind of thing. But I think fighting back wherever you can fight back is a good idea. And I think, when they lie, say they're lying. When they lie and you could sue them, sue them. When they violate the rights of people in your community, stand up, block them, sue them. We got to fight. That's the key thing here. Every place, every place. Um, uh, it's a little bit like the Winston Churchill speech at the beginning of World War II, where we will fight them on the beaches, we will fight them on the seas, we will fight them in the air, kind of thing. And I think that's the attitude that people who want to defeat MAGA and stop their attack on what's important here in the United States need to do. Every place you can do it, do it. Push back.
President Donald Trump is expected to visit the opening of a controversial migrant detention center in southern Florida on Tuesday, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, due to its isolated location deep in the Everglades. The facility is part of Trump's broader effort to intensify migrant detention and deportation following a surge in illegal border crossings under former President Joe Biden. Accompanied by Homeland Security Secretary Christine Noem, Trump's visit highlights rising federal detention numbers, which have increased from 39,000 to 56,000 since he took office.
Yeah, by the way, those numbers are dramatically, dramatically below what he said he was going to do. But the idea that the president of the United States is going to go to a ribbon cutting at a concentration camp is pretty hideous and really underscores what the administration's about. And if you just think this is performative, look at the horrible bill that is currently in front of the Senate. It allocates more money to MAGA than is currently allocated to the United States Marine Corps. And I'm not even counting the fact that he's using the Marine Corps to help MAGA, to help ICE. That he is militarizing ICE, ramping it up, and you have to ask why. Is the problem so great that the funding needs to be multiples of multiples greater than it was, or is the racism so great that he wants to maintain these kind of ongoing assaults on these cities for some time to come? I think it's the latter. I think the attacks on the money will be spent in blue states and blue cities to disrupt life in those places. And I think he's spoiling for a fight. I think he wants pushback. I think he wants demonstrations because then he can take more draconian measures, declare martial law, even disrupt next year's elections. So I think we have to watch this closely. What I don't think that means is that people should not stand up and fight. And in fact, since every American carries in their pocket right now a little television studio and they can stop and do HD video of everything that's happening in their communities, I think it's going to be really, really important, particularly given the changing nature of American politics, that we all decide we're going to be witnesses. We all decide that when we see bad things happening, we're going to record them and we're going to post them and we're going to share them. Because the real thing that is going to undo Trump and MAGA and the GOP and the majorities in the House and the majorities in the Senate is when people see the pain they cause. It's not going to be some politician with some fancy answer, or certainly not going to be some political consultant with some scheme, right? What it's going to be is seeing your neighbors, seeing your friends, seeing your community disrupted, broken up by thugs in masks, by shutting down schools, by shutting down hospitals, by lines at VA centers, by denying people the care they need, by cutting away funding for things like vaccines that keep people alive, and showing what the consequences of that are. We have to see what Trump and MAGA are doing to the United States of America in order to ensure that people say, no mas, no more of that. Anyway, we'll try to do our bit, highlighting some of that as we go each and every day. This week, of course, Friday is July 4th, I think. So we will not be doing a daily on Friday. But we'll be here the rest of the week, and we have got our regularly scheduled programming. And we've got a special a little bit later today, a deep dive, a need to know deep dive with our friend Dahlia Lithwick to look at the year just passed with the U.S. Supreme Court. Really important discussion. She's always great. So join us for that. Join us for all our other shows. And if you like what we're doing, go to the DSR network, click on membership, and become a member. It's like $70 a year, and it really makes a difference. And it'll also be a great birthday present for Minna. I mean, I can think of nothing she would like more than more paying members here at the DSR network, right? Isn't that what you wish for today on your birthday, Minna?
When I blow out the candles, that's what I'll be wishing for.
Yeah, exactly. She's lying. Anyway, happy birthday, Minna. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.